Hello guys, it's Ray JMB, back with another video, and birds are chirping, the trees are rustling its feathers, the wind is blowing so extraordinary, life is wonderful, mate, life is wonderful. But if you have watched the last video, you will know, I will know, the audience across the globe will know. This is not a real microphone. It's not a real microphone. It's simply a cologne bottle and a silver casing. And I'm going to keep addressing that, or I'm going to keep stating the obvious until I get an actual microphone, when I continue to do, videos like this. Because why not, why not? But yeah, if you have read about the title today, you will know that today is a video about balancing the feeling of wanting to plan everything and also wanting to just let things flow naturally in life, In life, I always want things to... In life, in life as humans, we have a tendency to, plan everything. We want things to go accordingly. We want, to sort out everything and write every task and, stuff down that we want to achieve. And just plan and plan and plan, right? But also we have a feeling and we also have a tendency to let things flow naturally and just let life take its course. And I feel like there's a pro and con to both of them. And I try to do both of them, because I feel like doing both of them, having a balance between planning everything and planning ahead versus, just letting things flow naturally, letting life take its course, letting God take over. I, in a way, have feelings towards both of them, and I want to do both of them because I feel like both are important. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about that, and you should do both. So if you like if you like the video, if you have enjoyed the video, even though it hasn't not even started yet, if you are enjoying the video, or if you will enjoy the video, like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm not begging, I'm not asking, but it could help a lot, if you really want to support me and see new videos like this from me. So yeah, support if you really want, but hey, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. But a big problem that I see when it comes to these, discussions and convos about, planning ahead versus, letting things flow naturally, is the fact that people think that you can't do both or the other. And I don't think that that's true at all, because it's like, for example, right, it's like school, right? It's like your teacher asking you, what's the best teaching method, or what's the best teaching style that you prefer to do, right? I've had a lot of times that teachers ask me, what's the best teaching method that students like to learn about, And I've heard many different answers from a lot of students and from a lot of people. Some people say lectures work best. Some people say collaborations. Some people say games. Some people say visual. It's many different teaching styles, many different teaching methods on how to get the work done, and to learn best in the classroom, basically. So for this convo, it's about working with what works best for you, basically. If you prefer to plan ahead, plan ahead. If you prefer to, just let things just flow naturally, letting life take its course, then let life take its course, because that's your style, that's how you get things done, and I can't really fault you for that. But in this video, from my experience, And from what I've seen and witnessed, and from what I've done in the past, I'm going to be telling you, three cons and three pros and three cons to both planning and just letting things flow naturally. Because there's a pro and con to everything in life, basically, and there's pros to just letting things flow naturally, and there's cons to that as well. And there's pros and cons to planning ahead. And let's just get started. Let's get into the first step, or not the first step, but the first pro of planning ahead. Very, very first step. Number one, uno. Very first pro when it comes to planning ahead is you have a sense of direction, meaning that you have a system set up in place, right? You know what you want, you know how you're going to get it, and you know when you're going to do it, and basically you know what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to do, basically, right? And it keeps you motivated, it keeps you focused on what you're trying to achieve, and that's good, that's very good, right? But a con with that is the fact that it doesn't lead to adaptability, basically meaning that, yeah, you make a plan, right? But what if that plan doesn't follow through? What if that plan doesn't, come to life? What if you don't achieve or accomplish that plan? And it can lead you to, feeling doubtful about yourself, or thinking that this is like a waste of time. Whole time, you could also adapt to new changes. You could also adapt to new environments, or, adjust the plan. But with planning ahead things, planning ahead things is like full like capacity. Basically, like planning ahead everything, planning, every specific detail in a way that kind of ruins adaptability, because since you made a plan for everything, right, you don't adapt to new changes, you don't adjust, So when the plan doesn't follow through, you feel doubtful, you feel like it's a waste of time. You don't know what to do because you didn't adapt. You didn't have a plan B to your plan A, because plan A's, and plans, they don't always follow through. A lot of people you look up to, their plans at first didn't follow through. Their plans at first failed, They didn't achieve much at first, right? But when, you adjust to new environments, you adapt, right? And you adjust the plan a little bit, right? It can lead to greater outcomes. But planning things, that's a con of planning things. It doesn't make you adjust because you already made a plan for it, right? But a pro of that is you made a direction, right? You know what you want, you know how you're gonna get it, and that's a good thing in itself as well. The first step when it comes to letting life take its course and letting things happen naturally is it leads to less, stress. It leads to more peace and comfort, and relaxation, for the fact that you are not stressing over everything, for the fact that you don't have these high expectations and these high plans that could fail at any time. You just let things flow naturally. You let life take its course, and that's a good thing. Just letting life take its course leads to less, stress in life. And to be honest, who wants more stress in life? No one. Life is already stressful as it is. Life is already stressful as it is, and who wants, more stress upon more stress? No one, right? But while letting life take its course may lead to more peace and comfort. You know, the con to that is the fact that it can lead to feelings of, it can lead to you developing feelings of being helpless or passive in life. And you may start to resent that feeling because you want to have control in life, right? But when you have too much control in life, it's like, you're trying to plan everything, you're trying to sort everything out, you're trying to do all these things and all these tasks, and you don't have time for yourself, you don't have peace, you don't have, relaxation, you have more stress upon stress. But if you just let life take its course all the time, it can lead to you feeling, like it can lead to you feeling helpless, and it can lead to you not having a sense of control, and not having a sense of self in life, because you just do whatever, you want without a plan. And you just, if something happens to you in life, like for example, right, you'll just adjust to it, instead of actually taking action, right, of what you're trying to do. And I get it, you can't control everything in life. Some things you have to adjust to. But a con with, feeling helpless and passive in life is the fact that you have no sense of say. You have no sense of control. You have no sense of self, because you just let life flow naturally, and that's not always a good thing. You have to have control somewhat of your life. You have to take action and take charge, and do what you want to do, and accomplish what you have to accomplish, basically. Dos. The second, and so far the most important pro and con when it comes to planning everything, or like planning ahead in life, is the fact that the pro is it can lead to commitment, better commitment to your goals, better commitment to what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, right? It can lead you to staying focused on, like your mission. It can lead you to being committed to what you're trying to achieve and how you're going to achieve it, right? Because you planned ahead for it, and now you're going to, work it out, and now you're going to plan ahead for it, and get it done, basically, right? But the con to that, right, the con to commitment and the con to, staying focused on it is the fact that it can lead to overthinking, The con to being committed while planning things is it can definitely lead to, overthinking. And it can lead, since you're doing all of these things, right, since you're, trying to plan out everything, trying to plan every crucial detail of your life, trying to, you know, make a plan for every single thing, start to get burnt out and start to overthink so much, because since you plan so much, right, you think as well. You think, you plan, you think, you plan, you think. Over time, that thinking just gets, just lost within your mind, because you're thinking about so many things. You're planning so many things in life. It's time consuming, and, you get burned out from that feeling. And trust me, I have, experienced this. I've planned a lot of things in life. I wanted to plan, you know, videos and songs and this and that and that and this, like, all at once. And I got burnt out from that feeling because I overthink so much about it. I overthink to the point where, oh shoot, if I don't get this done, it's gonna be bad. Or if I don't get this done, I'm never going to achieve it. Or if I don't get it done today, I'm never going to get it accomplished. Or, it's never going to happen because I didn't get it done. So Relax, right? Focus on what's actually important. Set aside, your minor, you know, achievements and goals. Set aside, the tasks that are least important to the side and focus on the bigger tasks and focus on the bigger, you know, assignments that you have to do. Because when you know, have the major things that you want to do, right? And the minor things, right? You have the major things in your head, so you have the minor things in your head as well that you want to achieve, right? And that you want to accomplish and do. And it's best to just just set aside the minor things, right? The things that are least important but still matter. Set aside them and do the things that are actually important, the major things in your life. Because, it gets to a point where you start to overthink. It gets to a point where you get burned out from doing so much and planning so much. You don't have time to actually just sit, relax, and just let things happen naturally. And that's just how it is. The second pro and con when it comes to, letting things happen naturally in life and just letting life take its course is, well, the pro is, fun. Everyone likes fun, everyone likes fun. Everyone likes doing fun things, I like fun. You like, you like fun. Everyone living and breathing likes fun, I assume. I hope. Because if you don't like having fun sometimes, hey, hey. Now, of course, people have to, different, different, different definitions of what fun is or, what fun isn't, but that's a topic for another day. But, life, it leads to you having more fun as a pro when it comes to, letting life happen naturally, You have more fun, you are more at ease, you are more, relaxed and at peace with yourself. But, the con to that, saying the drawback to, you know, uh, the drawback to, you know, just letting things happen naturally in life is the fact that sometimes without a purpose, you start to feel lost. Without a plan, you get stuck. Without a plan, you get stuck. And without a purpose and a plan, you start to feel lost in life and you don't have a clear path on what you are actually doing in life. There's been many times in life where, I didn't have a plan for things. I just, let things take its course, and I had fun. I had a lot of fun, I just did things just to do them. I did it because it was fun. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to do it because it seemed fun at first. It just seemed fun, right? But, the problem with doing that all the time, not having fun all the time. No, have fun all the time, but the problem with not having a plan is the fact that, it's the fact that you feel lost without a purpose, You feel lost because you don't have no clear intent on what you're trying to do. You don't have no clear intent on what you're trying to achieve. And that can lead to us feeling disillusioned, that can lead to us feeling without a purpose. That can lead to us feeling stuck and, and confused about what we want to do in life. And, no one wants to feel lost, no one wants to feel, like we're stuck. Because in life we get stuck all the time. But it's best that we balance both letting things happen naturally and just going with the flow, because while you're going with the flow can lead to, just more fun and just being at peace and, being relaxed. It leads to us feeling lost and stuck if we do not have a purpose or a clear intent or a drive to actually go after what we actually want. The third and final, tres. The third, I think I said that right. Uno, dos, tres. Either way, the third and final pro and con when it comes to planning is the fact that it can lead to better time management. The pro is that it can lead to better time management skills because you schedule your what you want to do, right? You schedule everything, you make a plan, you know when to do it, you know when to do what you want to do. Or you have specific like time slots and days and weeks and hours you want to get things done, right? And that's good, that's good time management skills that leads to more productivity, that leads to sometimes better outcomes as well. But the con with that is the fact that it can also be time consuming for you, right? If you plan every single thing in your life, right, it can lead to feelings of it being time consuming. And sometimes, when you plan everything, you spend more time planning than actually working on what you want. Listen to that again. Sometimes when you plan everything, you spend more time planning than actually working on what you want. Meaning, some people spend more time planning what they want to do, when to do it, how to do it, and this and that, right? Than actually getting the work done. In my experience, I've planned so many things. I've planned, for example, it was like a school project not too long ago that I had to do, right? I planned on what I wanted to talk about, right? I knew what I wanted to talk about. I knew how to get it done. But I spent so much time planning the project, right? I spent so much time planning the project and creating, unrealistic expectations for it than actually working on it, actually getting it done. I didn't do that because I spent more of my time planning things than actually getting it done. And the con with planning everything can just lead to you having your time just not available, right? If you plan every single thing, right, you don't set aside time to enjoy yourself. You don't set a time to just turn off your mind for a little while and just relax and enjoy life as it just flows, right? You are always in action and creating mode. You don't actually take time to relax and enjoy the process and just sit down, relax, and let life take its course because you plan everything. And you need to balance it. You need to balance you need to balance making schedules, doing deadlines and all that but also creating realistic deadlines, creating realistic schedules, doing realistic daily routines that you do, so you don't get disillusioned with it, and you have more time to actually work on it than actually spending more time planning it, basically. And the final pro and con when it comes to letting things happen naturally, aka meaning letting life take its course and going with the flow, is the pro is it leads to more creativity, because I feel like when you plan everything, right? Con to planning everything is You're planning everything, right? Planning, right? Doesn't lead to adaptability, right? And then my last point, it doesn't lead to adaptability, right? So when you plan and plan and plan and plan and plan, plans get boring from time to time. You want to spice it up by just doing whatever, you know, just seeing if things will happen or not, right? Basically. So I feel like creativity can definitely help, and in a way, creativity does get better if let life take its course and you don't plan every single little thing. But the con to that is the fact that it can also lead you to living a boring life, like the same way that letting life take its course can lead to you having more fun and being more creative. It can also be the same way that it can be boring going with the flow. It can get boring from time to time going with the flow every single day, not taking action, letting life just do the work for you while you just sit back, you know what I'm saying? The problem with that is, you don't have a sense of urgency, you don't have a sense of control, you don't have a sense of self, because you just let life do the work for you. You don't take action, you don't take charge on what you actually want, you don't actually put in no effort. It gets boring from time to time, you know? So if you live a boring life, alright, which, of course, boring and fun is always, subjective to what other people think about it. What I consider boring may be fun to you, and what you consider fun may be boring to me. But it's always just different at the end of the day for different people. But, the way I see it is that letting life take its course can be definitely creative because it puts you on your feet, It's like, let's say you had to, we've all heard of this, gorilla meme about 100 men versus a gorilla, right? We've all heard about it, Me personally, if y'all want my opinion on it, we can definitely beat a gorilla. 100 men versus a gorilla? We can definitely beat a gorilla. Okay. Think about it. One silverback gorilla against 100 men, we can definitely, of course, people will die at the end of the day, obviously. Sacrifices have to be made, right? But it can be done. We'll still have at least like 75 to maybe 60 or 50 people at the end. But 100 men versus a gorilla can definitely win for sure. So, that's my opinion on the whole thing about it. But back to, the main point, letting life take its course can lead to, being more creative, which can put you on your feet in life, situations and decisions about yourself and about life. So, like, for example, right, if you just let life take its course, it puts you on your feet and it leads to more creative thinking, right? If you have a project, right? If you have a project in school that you have to, accomplish or achieve, or if you have a project in school that you have to do by the end of the week, right? And you can't use any colors, right? You can't use any drawings, any colors, but it still has to be creative. It still has to be like visually, good in a way to get credit. You can't plan to use markers and colored pencils and, all that and crayons because you can't use them things for the project. It leads to more being on your feet. It leads to, being more adaptable to your circumstances. And it leads to, it leads to you, trying to do this project, like creatively without the use of markers and images and, colored pencils and all that, right? But like I said, the drawback and the con is the fact that all these cars. The drawback is that it can lead to you living a boring life. If you don't take action, if you don't take charge, life will just do it for you. Life will just do it for you if you don't take action, if you don't take charge. Because it can lead to you feeling stagnant about your life, and stuck because you don't have no clear purpose or intent of what you're trying to achieve and do in life. So you just do whatever. You just sit back, relax all day, 24/7, not getting anything done. And you wonder why time moves so fast. You wonder why, you know, time goes so fast and you miss so many things and miss out on so many experiences in life. It's because you don't plan ahead, while also knowing that planning ahead, isn't the best way to go about it times. And it's best to be adaptable and let life happen naturally. You plan that, you don't plan ahead and you just let, you know, life take its course all the time and, you just do whatever, sit back, wait for things to happen, and that's lack of urgency and that's lack of control. And that's also lack of self in a way because you have no real purpose, because you don't put in no effort in trying to plan things and trying to make things happen, basically. The video is almost over, but I want to leave you guys off with 3 tips on how to plan ahead in life. If you are the type to plan ahead, and I also have 3 tips for people who just want to just let life take its course, because neither one is bad. It's all about what's more suitable to you for the end of the day. I'm going to start off with planning ahead first. Three tips to plan ahead is: 1, define your vision. What's most important to you? What's important to you when it comes to, your beliefs, or, your morals, or your emotions, or your passions, or your achievements? What's more important to you? You have to define your vision of what you actually want to get done, what you actually intend, and what you could actually see a good outcome for, right? The second step is to, while you're planning, is to break down larger tasks into smaller tasks. So, for example, right? Let's say you want to work out, right, but you don't know where to start, right? Start by going to the gym once a week, right? Then change that once a week into 3 times a week. Then change that 3 times a week into 5 days a week. And then over time, you know, you did it 1 day a week, you did it 3 days a week, 5 days, and now over time you start to do it every single day if you want to do that, right? Number 3, don't just do the same plan method over and over. We go back to the teaching method style convo that I had earlier in the video about how different teachers had different teaching methods, and ways to teach the class, and how other students learned differently, right? Some students learned by games, some students learned by collaborating with others, some students learned by, you know, visual means. Like, other students learn differently in different ways, right? And so for this, you know, with a plan, right? If you plan everything, if you are the type to plan ahead in life, try different planning methods, experiment with them. If you normally start off with, the deadline of when you want to get the plan done, or like the task done, start off with, how you're going to get it done at first. Or, you know, basically just experiment with the planning method so it doesn't get boring over time, because while your consistency and, the repetition, you know, can be like beneficial to you, it can also be boring over time, and you get tired of over time, and it leads to less motivation, since you don't feel the need to be passionate about it because you're boring about the method. So spice up the method from from time to time, because it can really be beneficial. Now the 3 tips, if you are someone who wants to go with the flow and let life take its course, is 1, you have to let go of expectations. Setting high expectations for life and for people and just for anything. The only high expectations you should set is for yourself. And if you want to just let life take its course and go with the flow, you have to just let go of expecting things to happen or for things to not happen, basically, right? Second is to accept imperfections, right? I'm not perfect, I don't strive to be perfect. I strive to just do my best, and I hope you are doing the same thing as well. No one's perfect. No one will ever be perfect. The only perfect one is God, the Almighty One, the Most High God above all. And no one's perfect, So once you stop expecting things to be perfect in life, life does get easier, because we are all flawed human beings at the end of the day, And third is to accept that you can't control everything. Once you learn in life that you can't control everything, things start to become easier, because you let go of any expectations. You let go of the need to fix everything and to fix yourself, and to, of course, fix yourself, but you let go of the need to just fix everything and fix everything that's happening wrong in your life. And some things in life you just can't control. Some things in life just won't get better, and that's okay. But what really matters is, what are you going to do about it? Just sit around and just pout and frown all day? Or are you going to change your approach differently? Stop expecting so much and just be content with life. Because life, you get burnt out, and life, things don't go your way. And it happens to all of us. It happens to every single person, right? Life doesn't go our way. But once you start accepting that you can't control everything, once you start accepting that you don't need to control everything, it makes things way easier. This video took a lot. Even though I didn't write a script, this video took a lot. This video took a lot. I don't want to leave you guys off on much, but basically, planning ahead in life is important, but also letting life take its course and going with the flow is also equally as important as well, because he thinks from both perspectives on life. Planning ahead has its benefits and cons, and letting life take its course and going with the flow also has its benefits and cons as well. And we all need to realize that. But if you have enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like, share with someone who needs it, or comment what you learned from it, or what I didn't know, because I'm always in room for improvement. None of us are perfect, but I don't beg for subscribers. I don't beg for like, share, comments. I don't. But if you really did enjoy this video and took something from it, consider giving me a sub. Consider giving it a like, comment, sharing with somebody. It would really help a lot. It would really support me, and it would really push me to make more videos like this for you to enjoy and for you to learn something from. So, more videos on the way. God bless you all. chase your dreams. So have faith, and I'm at your J and B. Thank you.